It's not going to matter. They couldn't hear us anyway. So. All right, guys. So technical difficulties are worked out. So what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be answering your questions live now that we're going and getting ready. So this is Matt. Obviously, I'm Aaron. What we're going to be covering mainly is we're in the second week of the
This
challenge.
is Bella.
Yep, that's Bella. So make sure you give her some love. What we're going to do, though, is answer your questions live if you have them. But the cool thing is we have a bunch of questions from Facebook posts in our Challenger group, from our members' pages. If you guys have any fitness-related questions, feel free to answer them. We're going to be here until we get them all answered for you. So we're going to get this started off. The big question that a lot of people have is about cheat meals, right? So cheat meals are kind of a big deal. The problem is with the plan that we're doing now, Matt's going to kind of explain the importance of the cheat meal and why we actually are incorporating it every other week and what it's for and who should be allowed to have it.
All right, so even though I just explained this, we're going to do it again. So
I heard it.
Yeah, Aaron heard it. So we'll see if I can explain it better the second time than the first time now that we're actually live and it's recording and you can hear us. If you can't hear us, let us know again so I don't say it for a third time, okay? Now, cheat meals. A lot of you have been on different plans where we've kept carbs lower, kept calories lower. The physiological need for a cheat meal is much higher when you keep carbs lower and you keep your calories lower. To keep your metabolism up, the strategic refeeds or cheat meals are very important. Now, typically a refeed is more of we're increasing carbohydrates because carbohydrates have the highest impact on what we're trying to accomplish with our cheats and our refeeds, which is going to be increased thyroid production and also increased leptin production. When you diet or go on a low-carb diet, low-calorie diet, leptin goes down, which leptin has been found to be one of the most potent fat-burning hormones in the entire body. When leptin's high, fat burning is increased, hunger is lower. When leptin decreases, which happens during low-carb, low-calorie diets, fat burning is minimized, and then you also have insane amount of hunger. So leptin is hugely important, and basically the cheat meal is to get leptin back up. So now with our diet, our 12-week diet, which is less restrictive, you have more carbohydrates, you have more calories than you're accustomed to, the physiological need for a cheat meal is very, very low. For most of you, you do not need it. You absolutely do not need one yet. The reason why we're allowing you to have a cheat meal week 2 is because most of you, not most of you, some of you are coming from eating terrible. You're eating just crap processed food, fast food. You and McDonald's have a love-love relationship. And you know, if you're a Holland client, you were looking at Fit Body Bootcamp for a very long time when you went through the drive-thru. Now, to take you and say, hey, you're going to eat clean foods, foods that you should be eating, foods that are optimal for fat loss and weight loss and health, and say, you know what, you're not going to be able to eat some off-limits foods for a very long time. Most of you, that would cause you to eat off plan. But knowing that you have something to look forward to every couple of weeks makes it far more likely that you're going to stick to our plan. So that's why we give it to you initially. Now, as you diet, as we reduce calories, as carbohydrates are reduced, which are going to be needed as you go along, don't diets work forever, and eventually we're going to have to reduce calories a little bit, reduce carbs a little bit to keep you losing. The lower your body fats are, the better shape you get into, the more physiological need there is for a refeed meal. So initially, not necessary, but we know we want to make it realistic. We want to make it long-term for you. And not many of you are going to be trying to step onto a bodybuilding stage in 12 weeks. Most of you, you know, the goal is to lose 1 to 3 pounds of body fat throughout the 12 weeks and maintain it thereafter. It's not meant to be, oh, 12 weeks, it's done, I'm over, let's go on a binge. That's definitely not what we want. So now, with the cheat meals, you know, we recommend a moderate cheat where you're increasing carbohydrates, you're decreasing your fats and your proteins. So what it's not a binge. Literally, you're gonna have food the next day, I promise. Don't go at it like it's, Aaron calls it man versus food. It's not boot camp versus food, okay? We're not having a camera in front of you and seeing how much food you can stuff down your gullet. Now, a lot of you, I say this, and there's a lot of sarcasm behind what I just said, But a lot of you, with your first cheat meal, you will just go absolutely crazy. And that's absolutely what we don't want. If you leave the table and you have to unbutton your pants and you just feel absolutely miserable, that's not the point. We want the refeed meals to serve a purpose. It's a mental break for you, but don't let it set you back 3 or 4 days because you decided to go stuff yourself and go on a binge. What we don't want to create is this restrict and binge mentality, because if the habits that we teach and preach and want you to carry on after the 12 weeks, if you go back to eating bad food, then you're just going to start eating bad food all the time, and that binge is going to be eat bad food, binge, eat bad food, binge, eat bad food, binge, and then you're going to gain all the weight back that you just went and lost over 12 weeks. What other questions? With the cheat meal.
With the cheat meal, typically the only other thing that I saw was, if you have already cheated or if you're not hitting your macros. And on that, really quick, guys, also, if you're unbuttoning your pants in a restaurant, it is also frowned upon. Just wanted to throw that out there. Please don't do that. You should never need to do that. It is typically a good way to get thrown out.
It's never a good look.
It's never a good look, especially if you stand up.
You can't say, sorry, I just had a cheat meal. They're not going to understand that.
You could try it.
You can definitely try it. Now, with what Aaron was saying was, there's some of you that didn't really follow through with what you were supposed to do the first 2 weeks. You've already cheated. You've already kind of slipped up. You've already went way off the list and all that kind of stuff. Now, obviously get right back on track and start doing what you need to do, but you don't need a cheat meal this weekend. You've already had it. You've already done it. It's time to move forward and stick to your plan. Now, what's also really hard is with our coaching relationship with you is, week 2 was meant to really be a baseline to figure out where your macros need to be so we can make adjustments to your plan. If you're cheating, you're eating off the list, you're eating foods you shouldn't be eating, it's really hard for us to get a baseline of where your calorie needs need to be. So we really need you to be strict with your food moving forward. So forego the cheats. There's going to be times that you can cheat, and don't worry about it. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have this cheat meal. I'm never going to get one again. We need to really get rid of that mentality. You need to see food as fuel, okay? So food shouldn't be the center of your life. Food should be fuel, and that's the way you need to see it. And that's the way the cheat meals are meant to be anyways. So if you cheated, move forward. Let's move on. Get back to your plan and follow it for at least another week before we even consider, incorporating a cheat meal. Because again, you don't need it. We're giving it to you for a mental break, and that's it. That's the only reason you guys need a cheat meal right now is for the mental break.
So the next question I have, I'm actually going to take this one. It's on a Facebook question. I can make us a little bigger, yeah. Cheeky kids. The issue is it's a Twitch, so it has to be gameplay. So if I randomly, I guessed wrong. Let's start again. Oh my God, I'm terrible at this game. So it has to have something. So yeah, I can make us a little bit bigger. Hopefully that helps.
We're gonna work on getting a better webinar for you all, so you don't have to see Aaron play video games, and then you can see us bigger.
Yes, because everybody wants that. So this question comes in on Facebook. I still feel like I'm eating too much, full to the gills all the time, and actually gained this week. Well, here's the issue, and I'll read the rest of this. The idea of what you're talking about is backwards. Okay, so what we do is the first 2 weeks, you're going to be eating the most calories that you're going to be eating this entire program, because as the 12 weeks go on, we can reduce your calories. The issue with the first 2 weeks is what we want to see is if you're consistent over the 2 weeks and you're hitting your numbers, then your coaches have a very fine-tuned dial that we can mess with, and we can actually mess with your macros, and it makes sense. If you're not hitting your macros, then it's very hard for us to adjust your plan because we don't know exactly how your body's going to respond because we have no idea what you're putting into it. So with the other thing that I see is you're talking about the scale, which it looks like from your profile picture that you're not a big person. So understand that you might actually, your weight's going to fluctuate, and B, it's not Friday, so you shouldn't be weighing yourself. Just throwing that out there. But what you need to focus on is inches and pictures, right? So the other thing that you need to understand is if you are going up a pound or two, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Your weight's going to fluctuate day to day. The most important thing is that we're weighing ourselves first thing in the morning when we get up. because that way we don't have 4 or 5 meals in us. If we're weighing ourselves at night, in the morning, that's irrelevant. And again, we're focusing on fat loss. We're not doing a weight loss challenge. If we were doing a weight loss challenge, we just tell you to not eat carbs, drastically cut your calories, and starve you to death. That's not healthy, and that's not going to help you long term. So understand that what we're doing is we're trying to get a baseline of how your body's going to respond so that your coach can tweak it as we go forward.
So our goal is for you to eat the most amount of calories and still lose body fat. Again, the term is body fat. Now, we can lose weight, we can lose muscle tissue, we can lose water weight, and we can, lose body fat. Those are the 3 ways you're going to lose weight. Most diets and most programs are successful because they make you lose weight, but some of that's coming from muscle, some of that's coming from water, and some of it's coming from body fat. Ultimately, we want you to lose body fat. So our goal is for you to maintain, if not gain, lean muscle tissue, so that's muscle, and then lose body fat at the same time. One of the things that you might be seeing with the scale this week is the fact that, the first week sometimes you lose water, and then the second week your body wants to retain water, which is then going to make you gain some water weight, which again isn't fat. It doesn't mean that your actual weight went up. It's just you're holding more water week 2. So what you need to rely on is your measurements. So one thing that you can, obviously your measurements each week, we want you doing inches every single week so that we can see, we can't just rely on the scale to tell us what's going on. So how well do your clothes fit? All those kinds of things matter when we're talking about fat loss, and which is why we have you do that. Now at the end of week 3, we're also going to want you to take your pictures so that you can see the progress. So what happens when you do a diet is your mind plays tricks on you, and if you're only relying on the scale, it makes it even worse. Every day you see the same person, but you make a little bit of progress every single day, a little bit of progress every single day, which you physically can't see. I don't care if you have 20/20 vision. You're not going to see the changes every single day. So perceptually, you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not making any changes. The scale's only going down a little bit. Blah, 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 all those things. Then you start getting that negative talk in your head, and you get really frustrated and you want to quit. So that's where the pictures come in. That's where the inches come in. So you're going to be shocked when you see the progress you've made in 3 weeks with the pictures, even though you don't feel like you're seeing it on the scale or you're seeing it perceptually with your eyes. You're getting the results. Now, if your inches are going up and your weight's going up, all those kinds of things, then we need to look at that. But there may be some factors that are going on. Maybe week 1 you stuck to the list, and then week 2 you start eating off the list. And then when you eat off the list, that means you're getting a lot of indirect calories, a lot of more carbs, a lot more fats, stuff that you shouldn't be eating. You really shouldn't see on our plan where you've lost 4 or 5 pounds in week 1, and then the next week you gain weight. Okay? Because ultimately, you're not losing a ton of glycogen on our plan, which means you're not going to lose a ton of water weight on your plan, which you'll typically see if you lose a lot of weight week 1 and then gain weight the next week. It's just a water difference. So you shouldn't see that too much if you're sticking to the exact same plan. Now, have trust in the process. Again, we're going to reduce calories. We're going to reduce your carbohydrates as we go, as your body adapts to the plan that you're doing. The other thing to look at is maybe week 1 you worked out 4 times, and then week 2 you've only worked out twice. Right. You're going to be holding a lot more glycogen, which means you're going to be holding a lot more water. So there's a lot of different factors to look at, and we can't just look at the scale to determine our success on the plan. If you're only determining your success and what that scale tells you, you're going to be a slave to that scale the rest of your life. We want to get you away from the scale and start looking at what's actually really happening with your body.
And going into that, a question that someone asked me earlier was the importance of measuring your food continuously as the challenge goes on. So the big thing with measuring your food is the problem is as we stop measuring, we go, that's close enough, or that looks about right. The problem with that is what happens when we stall out is we have no idea what we've been eating. Yeah, we have an idea of what it might be close to, but the difference is we're going to start giving ourselves either a little more or a little less. And to be honest, one of the problems that I've had with some clients that I've worked with is they're actually eating far too little calories, and that's just as bad as overeating, to be honest with you. So understand that the reason we have you measuring is because, again, your coach can then adjust things accordingly, because the coach knows exactly what's going in. And in order for us to adjust it properly, we need to know exactly what's going in. That's why we give you what we give you.
Yeah, you need to do our plan. You have to. There's no way around not measuring your food. I know sometimes it can be redundant and boring, and all that kinds of things. But the process works in the sense that we're going to reduce little by little by little to keep you in a calorie deficit and keep you burning body fat. But we can't do that if we have no idea where you're at, calorie-wise, macro-wise, what you're eating, all those kinds of things. Like, it's impossible. So, yes, you need to measure. If you're not willing to measure, you can't be on our challenge program. There's just, we can give you something else where you don't have to measure, but you're not going to get the results that you're going to get on the challenge program. If you want maximal results and you want to be assured that you're going to get results, you need to measure the foods that are going into your body, because ultimately, I know when I'm hungry, I should eat 5 ounces of whatever, and I want to eat 10, but perceptually you ate 5 ounces, but in reality you ate 10 of them. So yes, you need to measure. If you want to get the results that you deserve, measure your food. You are worth the time and the effort that it takes to measure your food and have it ready to go.
So another question coming in on Facebook. After I finish class, I am lightheaded and nauseous for at least 45 minutes. I try drinking more water before and after. I move my pre-workout meal to 60 minutes before and still feel really sick afterwards. Any suggestions?
So for me, part of that, there could be multiple reasons, but if you're brand new to working out, if this is like your first time working out in a long time, high intensity exercise is going to make you feel that way. Your body will adjust, and eventually you're not going to feel that way. So one thing that you can do is just back down on the intensity during your workout. So, if you're at a level 10 working out, just back it down to a 5 or 6 until you get accustomed to the workouts and all that stuff. The other thing is you might want to work on moving your workout meal to ultimately almost 90 minutes before, and then what you're eating before matters too. If you're eating something a little bit more simple, you're going to spike your insulin levels, and you're going to burn through your carbohydrates a lot faster, and then your blood sugar is going to drop. So you might be better off having more of a meal, making sure you're getting your vegetables in so that we're stabilizing your blood sugar better, so that your blood sugar is not dropping. Part of the nauseous is when our blood sugar gets super low, you're going to feel like crap. The other thing that you could do, which I typically don't recommend, is you could also work on getting some type of carbohydrate source during your workout. So you could take some of your macros that you're supposed to eat pre-workout, and then you could have them in a drink during your workout to help keep your blood sugar stabilized. So you could do something like Gatorade or dextrose or something like that, where you're taking some of your carbs, and then you could also mix that with some branched chain amino acids and drink that during your workout. I don't always recommend that because you're not going to maximize your fat burning potential during your workout, but if it keeps you from feeling like complete crap after your workout, then I would highly recommend it. And then getting a meal in as soon as possible after your workout to help stabilize your blood sugar again, which usually you probably don't want to do because you feel nauseous. So let's work on not getting nauseous. So let's lower the intensity a little bit, maybe add some simple carbs during your workout, which is obviously like, whoa, you're telling me to do simple carbs during my workout. The only reason is to keep your blood sugar up during your workout so we're not getting that extreme drop where that's going to make you feel extremely nauseous afterwards. So lower the intensity a little bit, maybe try to add some simple carbs during, but make sure you're taking them from somewhere. You got to either take them from your pre-workout meal or take them from your post-workout meal. You're not adding carbs. You're just moving them around a little bit to make you feel better. So try that.
Next one comes in from Mama Hop. She asks, is there a limit to quantity of dairy products that you take in one day?
Yeah. So
simple answer.
So here's the deal. Initially, some of you are actually shouldn't eat dairy. Obviously, everyone's heard of lactose intolerant and all those things. A lot of you are actually lactose resistant, at least to some extent, where you don't feel it. Obviously, you don't see it, but some of you, when you have any type of lactose dairy products, it's actually causing some inflammation throughout your body. inflammation decreases your ability to lose fat, and it's linked to virtually every single disease in the human body. So some of you should definitely limit. I know some of you have shakes, some of you put cheese on crap. It's like Greek yogurt. So every time you eat, you're eating some type of dairy. So one of the best tests for anything is, how do you feel when you eat dairy? Do you feel kind of stomach's upset? Do you feel bloated? Do you feel... And that goes for any food. Just because it's on the list doesn't mean it's great for you. Some of us have different types of food allergies. So I would honestly limit dairy to 1 or 2 times a day. And there's tons of diets and tons of research that shows that you shouldn't eat dairy. Now, if we went off the bat and said, hey, you can't eat dairy from day one, man, I would have a lynch mob at my house. A lot of you like dairy. A lot of you like the way it tastes. So if you can keep it in and still get results, that's great. For optimal health, you should probably decrease it a little bit. And you shouldn't be eating it at every single meal like some of you are doing. If you take whey protein, that's going to be dairy. If you take cheese, that's going to be dairy, which some of you get kind of lazy with your fat choices, and it's cheese. So yes, you should limit your dairy intake to be optimal. Now, for us, initially it doesn't need to be optimal. It needs to be, we need you to stick to the plan and stick to your macros. You're going to get results. I think that answers that question.
So the next one is eating before bed. So I've had a lot of people who, wonder the importance of, there's that old fable of, you shouldn't eat 2 hours before bed. And before Matt gets into a lot of it, I kind of equate it to this. So a lot of the reason that most people tell you you should not eat before bed is because most of the time when you eat before bed, it's not good food, right? Like honestly though, think about it. When you eat, let's say you go to bed at 10, if you eat between 8 and 10, typically it's crap. Like you're not eating a piece of chicken and broccoli, like you're eating a bag of Skittles, right? So the reason that people tell you don't eat 2 hours before you go to bed or whatever, is because they know that those 2 hours typically you never make a good decision in. So it's a lot of mindset more than anything, but Matt's going to kind of explain exactly what we do on our plan so that you kind of have an idea.
So with our meals, basically you can have them anytime. I don't care if it ends up being 30 minutes before bed. If you're eating a meal, it doesn't matter what time you're consuming it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what matters is how many total calories you've consumed. And then obviously your macro breakdown with those foods. If you're hitting your macros, you're hitting your meals, it doesn't matter what time you eat. The science continuously shows now that it does not matter. So a lot of people try to scare you into, you can eat 2 hours before bed or 3 hours, you're going to get fat, and everything you eat after whatever time is going to turn into fat, and your metabolism's lower, and this and blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is when you sleep, and this is the importance of protein before you go to bed within, whatever time you end up eating, it is ultimately you end up fasting for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours without food. Now, if you take that and you didn't eat 3 hours before you went to bed, now that's 11 hours before you see food. And the longer you go, the more likelihood your body is going to rely on its own protein sources, which means your own muscle tissue, to fuel your body. So it does not matter. Do not stress about it. But yes, what we want to avoid is that late night snacking where you're bored, you don't have much to do, so you grab a bag of potato chips and sit it next to you. Hopefully you don't have potato chips in your house, but ultimately most people make terrible decisions at night when it comes to eating. And part of the reason why people make bad decisions is due to low blood sugar, which ultimately will happen if you're not eating food or don't plan on eating food for 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed when you're used to eating every couple of hours. That internal drive to eat sugar or carbohydrates is going to be increased because you have low blood sugar. So instead of that, eat a meal, you'll be just fine. I guarantee you if you eat protein and vegetables before you go to bed, it's not going to turn to fat. I promise.
So the next one I had earlier today was in regards to our functional aging program. People were asking why we aren't adding night times to that.
For the functional aging program? Yeah. So why we don't have nighttime. So part of what we do with our trainers and our staff, and ultimately why we're able to recruit awesome staff and have awesome team members. We don't want to have them working at 5 a.m. and then say, hey, oh, you also have to be here at 8 p.m. as well. So, maybe I'm just not a greedy human being, but I want my staff loving their job. Could we offer more times and ultimately have more clients and all those kinds of things? Yes. Right. But ultimately, my staff's happiness, who ends up, who's with you every single day, I want them happy. I want them giving you the best experience humanly possible. We're really concerned with our staff over being able to offer more times for people. So we only have a limited schedule for it, and that's just the way it's going to be moving forward. So,
let's see what we got here.
Buckhead 5.
I actually came to watch Minesweeper. I was really disappointed in you guys. All right, so what we'll do now, guys, is if you have any other questions, please feel free to answer them or ask them now. As soon as we're out of questions, we can get out of here. But I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Oh, Challenger workouts. So Challenger workouts, again, this week, it's going to be Grand Haven's at 1 and Holland's at 2. So you can go to either one. It doesn't matter. Whatever's more convenient, fits your schedule. The idea behind the Challenger workout is it's challengers only. So it's not a challenging workout. It will be. But the goal of it is not
I think
to
it's
be
pretty challenging.
Right, but the goal is it's not some like crazy like beast mode workout. The goal of it is designed to get that metabolism fired up for your cheat meal. So again, if you can't make it, the other question I had was a lot of people were like, well, can you do the morning session and the Challenger workout? I mean, I guess you could.
If you were to choose like one or the other, you're
Right.
better off going to the Challenger workout because it's closer to when you're having your cheat meal.
Right.
We want you doing an intense workout, as close to your cheat meal as humanly possible. So it's really up to you. But if you want to do a double, I mean, we've had clients do a double. Maybe it makes you feel better before you cheat, whatever. It's fine. So it's truly up to you how you want to do that. If you can't make the challenge workout, we have what we call a deplete workout, which is in the things. If you don't want to do a deplete, you can do a travel workout. But you really should try to get an intense workout within a couple hours before your cheat meal to get the most benefit from it and negate some of the negative side effects of having a cheat meal.
Bad food. Yeah, so that's kind of the purpose of the challenge workout. I think we answered most of those. Where is this macro calculator everybody's talking about?
Macro calculator.
So your macros were sent to you in an email. That's the thing that you're eating the numbers of proteins, carbs, and fats. We calculate your macros for you. You don't do that.
In your post nutrition like challenge stuff, we have a calculator that you can use. But ultimately, part of the service that we provide is that we're figuring out your macros for you. We're changing your macros as needed. So you should have your macros. It shouldn't, you don't need to do anything. We do it for you. That's part of why you're on the challenge. If you have questions on that, comment. What else do we got? What about previous
posts?
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's what I was trying to find.
I'll let Aaron do his thing. He's the expert over here. So I just run my mouth.
That's also true. So the other thing, while I'm going through these, trying to find the other posts.
I do want to comment on one thing though. Protein shakes. It hasn't been as bad in this group as our 6-week challenge that we're doing in Forest Hills. We've answered this a lot. We're in week 2, so it's kind of died down. But ultimately, your protein shakes should be about 25 grams of protein for 3 to 4 grams of carbs and as low fat as possible. Some of you want shakes that have like 20 grams of carbohydrates and all this other stuff. Do the carbs potentially come from healthy sources and all those kinds of things? Yes, but ultimately it's way too high not to count the carbohydrates. Now, for some of you, I see a lot of, what does this count as? What should I count this as? If you're eating off the list, count everything, because the indirect is going to add up way more than they should. So I would like you to count every single thing that's off the list. You're going to count the protein, the carbs, and the fats. I don't care how much it is, and subtract that from your macros. Now, for some of you that continuously eat off the list, aren't following necessarily what you should be eating, all those kinds of things, we might turn you into counting everything that you eat, so that, you know, even though you're eating off the list, we can better control your macros. Since we count direct sources, there are indirect that are on the plan, but it's really hard for us to account for those when you're not eating what you should. So for some of you, it might be easier to count everything. So those changes may be coming in the next couple of weeks as well for those clients. Again, that's what's great about working with a coach. That's what's great about working with our team, is we can adjust to you and make it fit your lifestyle. You know, our approach, although it works, nobody in their right mind can argue with the success that we've had. You know, we would like you to follow what we tell you, but ultimately we can adjust things and hopefully make it fit your lifestyle so that you can stick with it.
And that's actually everything. So
that's everything. All right, so if you want the webinars to continue, which we'll work on getting a professional looking webinar so you don't have to see, I don't even know what this game's called.
Minesweeper. You don't know what Minesweeper is?
No, I don't play video games. So if you want to see the webinars continue, we would love to see more people involved, active. The other night when I did just a random Q&A on Facebook, we had more involvement. So if you want to see live webinars, you want to see us answer your questions, make sure you guys give us material to talk about so that we can address anything and everything. Just don't ask too strange of questions. Don't get too personal. Other than that...
And Matt is wearing khakis, by the way. If you were wondering, underneath that sweatshirt, there's definitely khakis, courtesy of Jim Harbaugh.
That's right. Go blue.
And the good news is if Notre Dame actually has another quarterback injured, Bella is actually going to be stepping in and playing some quarterback.
She's third-string quarterback for Notre Dame.
For the Irish. So I'm pretty excited. Oh,
she was a 5-star recruit.
That was in my mouth.
All
right.
She'll like anything.